The passenger liner Lusitania didn't go down because of the maniacal cruelty of German submariners. Forget the touching fairy tales from official history books. This monstrous maritime tragedy was planned in cold blood for one extremely cynical purpose. It was all about urgently saving the colossal investments of Wall Street tycoons. Spring 1915. Europe is drowning in the blood of trench warfare, but the United States stubbornly remains neutral. American citizens have absolutely no desire to die in the muddy trenches of the Old World. However, the financial elite have entirely different plans for their future. John Pierpont Morgan's banking cartel found itself in a deadly trap. The financial empire had issued astronomical loans to the Entente powers for weapons and food. Hundreds of millions of dollars were at stake. If Britain and France lost the war, Morgan's empire would collapse literally overnight. By May 1915, the situation on the front lines had become critical. The British treasury was draining fast, and the Russian army was in retreat. Panicking Wall Street analysts sent encrypted cables warning that debt repayments were in jeopardy. Morgan urgently needed to throw a fresh American army into the European meat grinder. But how do you make a peace-loving nation pick up rifles? A shock was needed. The perfect sacrifice, one that would trigger blind rage in every American. At that moment, the interests of New York bankers perfectly aligned with the plans of the British Admiralty, then headed by the ambitious Winston Churchill. In the secret rooms of London and New York, a monstrous plan was hatched. The role of the sacrificial victim was assigned to the pride of the British fleet, the luxurious ocean liner Lusitania. On board were nearly 2,000 civilian passengers, including the elite of American society. It was the perfect target for a bloody provocation. Officially, the ship carried only passengers and mail. But look at the declassified customs declarations. Over 4,000 crates of rifle ammunition, shrapnel shells, and high explosives were secretly loaded into the holds of the civilian vessel. The luxury passenger liner was coldly transformed into a floating powder keg. German intelligence was well aware of the impending arms smuggling. The German embassy in Washington even took an unprecedented diplomatic step. They bought ad space in 50 American newspapers, directly warning passengers of the grave danger of traveling through a declared active war zone. But the press, controlled by the Morgan cartel, mocked these warnings, dismissing them as absurd German propaganda. Passengers were assured that the swift Lusitania would easily outrun any submarine, and that the British Navy would guarantee her absolute safety. It was a deliberate and utterly cold-blooded lie. On May 1st, the liner left New York. Captain William Turner was absolutely certain a powerful escort would meet him in the dangerous waters of the Irish Sea. However, the Admiralty had already signed the ship's death warrant. Churchill personally ordered the recall of the cruiser Juno, which was supposed to guard the Lusitania. The massive passenger ship was intentionally left completely defenseless right in the heart of the German U-boat hunting grounds. Furthermore, the Admiralty sent Captain Turner a strange radio message instructing him to reduce speed and maintain a straight course, canceling the mandatory anti-submarine zigzag. The trap was set. On May 7, 1915, the German submarine U-20, commanded by Walter Schwieger, spotted the perfect target. The captain couldn't believe his eyes. The giant liner was moving slowly in a straight line, as if inviting a torpedo. The order for an immediate attack was given without hesitation. The deadly cigar struck the starboard side, but a single torpedo wasn't enough to instantly sink such a behemoth. And then came exactly what the architects of this provocation were counting on. A second, incredibly powerful internal explosion erupted, literally tearing the ship's steel underbelly to pieces. It was those thousands of crates of secret munitions, securely hidden in the lower holds, that detonated. This hidden cargo left the passengers with absolutely no chance of survival. The pride of the British fleet sank to the bottom in just 18 minutes, taking hundreds of lives with it. 1,198 people perished in the icy water. Among them were 128 citizens of the United States of America. The trap snapped shut perfectly. The blood of innocent victims became the very ink used to finally sign the death warrant for American national neutrality. Morgan's newspaper empire instantly launched an unprecedented hate campaign. Front-page headlines screamed about the barbarism of the Huns, killing women and children. No one mentioned the secret cargo of explosives or the strange recall of the military escort. The public mind was masterfully hacked and steered in the desired direction. The American public, staunchly opposed to war just yesterday, now united in demanding brutal retribution. President Woodrow Wilson, who had previously promised to keep the peace, received the perfect political carte blanche to prepare for large-scale armed intervention in the bloody European conflict. While ordinary citizens mourned the fallen, vintage champagne was uncorked in the private clubs of Wall Street. Shares of arms factories skyrocketed. The Entente loans were saved, and the U.S. government began generously funding the military, placing colossal orders with the industrial enterprises of the very same Morgan cartel. Later, during closed hearings, British Judge Lord Mersey would attempt to cover up the truth about the arms smuggling. All documents regarding the Lusitania's cargo would be strictly classified for decades. Captain Turner would be made a convenient scapegoat, accused of criminal negligence and violating Admiralty instructions. But archival documents don't burn. Years later, historians would uncover Churchill's secret correspondence, where he cynically reasoned that drawing neutral ships to British shores was vital for pulling the U.S. into the war. The lives of ordinary passengers were merely cheap, expendable material. This brilliantly orchestrated operation became the turning point of the entire 20th century. The financial elite realized their absolute power over the world. They understood they could engineer reality, control the rage of entire nations, and turn global human tragedies into a reliable instrument for extracting untold super profits. The sinking of the Lusitania set a chilling precedent that forever changed the rules of the geopolitical game. The scheme proved absolutely flawless. Provoke an attack, sacrifice your own citizens, blame the enemy, and start a war that will bring billions to transnational corporations and shadow banking syndicates. Remember the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which finally gave the Pentagon free rein in Vietnam. Remember the vials of fake biological weapons before the invasion of Iraq. All these operations followed the blueprint of 1915. Technologies change, but the cynical signature remains the same. World War I cost humanity 20 million lives, but for a select few, it was simply a highly successful business project. The Morgan cartel not only recouped its loans with massive interest, but also became the leading financial hegemon of the entire post-war world. The perfect crime is one where the victim demands the innocent be punished, while the true killer calmly counts the profits. The passengers of the Lusitania became the first pawns in this global chess game, where human life will always be worth far less than Wall Street stock quotes.